in the very beginning, the whole thing, Christmas packages, they didn't happen. I'm not talking about just back in Jesus' time. It's not like they showed up and went, "Hey, we got you this Christmas present because you're the Christ." It didn't happen that way, obviously. But in the early days of of Christmas, we didn't do things like that. We didn't give packages or anything else. What we would originally would give would be give bread. Bread for the hungry, alms for the poor. Offerings in in the memory of the Magi or whatever. That's what we would do. And gifts were acts of worship, not transactions. And we were to imitate heaven, not to impress, some neighbor. Then history, as it always does, kind of takes things and complicates the purity of the thing. You know what I'm saying? So the Middle Ages come around, and the European communities start to give small tokens. They start giving apples and coins and wax candles, and especially on St. Nicholas Day. And, I'm sure back then I was like, I can't believe you're buying an apple. You're commercializing this. And what they were trying to do was not to outdo one another. Did you see that? He gave his wife 2 apples. But it was the idea to teach children that generosity was a virtue. And the gesture was still really small, and the idea was to enlarge the heart. And then came the Victorian age, kind of the global pivot point, and everybody, because everybody idolized Dickens and Christmas Carol. Christmas Carol by Dickens really revived the holiday spirit, but it also introduced something new, the romance of the Christmas marketplace. Because we suddenly had industrialization, and now we could make toys cheaper, and factories made novelty easy, and we had a middle class that had some disposable income for the very first time. And then suddenly, quietly, slowly, gift giving expanded, and the boxes grew larger and larger. Not the heart, but the boxes did. And by the late 1800s, early 20th century, the stores, especially the new department store, discovered what the church once knew, is that Christmas makes people more generous. And so, it also makes people more vulnerable, I guess. And so the advertisements wrap themselves in holiness, and Santa was drafted into service. Not a lot of people know. I have this little teeny statue of Santa that I got when I was in Sweden. Where was I? And at the Church of St. Nicholas. And it's this little statue of Santa, and he's standing by a pair of boots, and he's the size of the boots. Because originally he wasn't like what we think of now. He was like this little elf kind of thing. It was Thomas Nast who did the whole, 'Twas the Night Before Christmas, that changed the whole look of Santa. And then, of course, Coca-Cola got involved. And once Coca-Cola got involved, well, then everything, quickly changed. And now 3 gifts of the Magi has become 30, yada, yada, yada. And then we started advertising everything. And here we are. Here we are now to Christmas, which, I don't know, I don't even know, when did you start to see Christmas stuff? I first saw it before October, before Halloween was done. That's when I first saw Christmas stuff up, right? Before Halloween. And we have turned this thing into, I don't know, a fiscal quarter. That's all it is now, is a fiscal quarter. And as we're getting ready for Christmas, and we have, so many shopping days left, what the 20th century has done to Christmas has left us feeling, I don't know, emptier, lonelier, more frantic. I mean, we have expanded the spectacle, but not the soul. And today we live in a world where everything can be shipped to you in your doorstep in 24 hours. And And we have a chance to reclaim it, but it's a short chance to reclaim it, I think. How do we reclaim what we've nearly lost? May I suggest we go back to the beginning, back to the stable, back to the stunned young mother. I'm writing some stuff for Christmas right now, and I was thinking about Mary this weekend. How stunned, she had to be. I'm trying to look, I don't want to make light of it, but I mean, she had to be like, wait a minute. Hold it. What? She had to be that way. I mean, she was a teenager. She had to be just like, wait, hold it just a second. And then what she must have been thinking about, how am I going to tell Joseph? I mean, you're coming back to tell him, right? Because he's not going to believe me. You're telling him, right? And how she must have felt when she gave birth in a stable. And the frightened shepherds. And later the Magi come. That first Christmas was not wrapped. It was not advertised. It was given to a world that really, honestly, did absolutely nothing to deserve it. And I guess we give our gifts with that way. We receive them. I did nothing to really deserve this. But maybe this year, instead of what should I buy, we begin asking, what should I give? Not the biggest box, but the truest offering. What should I give? A handwritten note of gratitude. Something that really comes from you. An apology, long overdue. A moment of peace with a family that has been worn thin. A meal for somebody who has no table. A reminder, spoken out loud, that hope is still alive. Because when the gifts become reflections of Him, the one given to us, Christmas can stop being a transaction and will become a miracle again. And I think that's how we put the Christ back in Christmas. Not by shouting it, not by living it. Just one gift, one act of love. One reborn heart at a time. I was talking to Tanya about this. We've gone from having nothing to having more than enough. I've gone from a guy who couldn't afford an ornament at CVS that my oldest daughter wanted when she was young, to a guy who one Christmas said, "I'll buy everything I can possibly think of for my kids." It was the emptiest Christmas we ever had. Now our kids are all over 20, and I told Tanya, maybe we got to find something of real meaning that comes from us, something that we do ourselves, something like the letter, something that doesn't cost us anything except time, and give those to the children. Exchange that with one another. I mean, not from me. I've already sent my Christmas list to Tanya, and those gifts aren't buying themselves. So, for the kids, but definitely not, for me.